Going on for we too blessed to be stressed. You gotta understand that. So chosen ones, this video today is about the workplace, what goes on in the workplace and all the chaos and stuff that you be seeing. No, you not crazy. No, you not dumb. You really see it for what it really is. You gotta understand it. When you awakening, you really being set apart. That's what set apart really means. You didn't ask for this, but you was chose for this. You was chose for this. You wanted to wake up to the truth. You gotta understand it. But at the same time, in the workplace, God will put you in front of people. You gotta understand that. You might not know what's happening, but in the same time, He'll put you in an environment. He'll put you in a place, and you gotta understand that. You gotta understand the God, the Holy Spirit that's within you. You gotta understand, fam. It mirrors back onto people. You gotta understand that. So when people look at you, they looking at like a mirror, of like the stuff they need to work on, the stuff they need to go inside they self and heal and like heal about they self and just deal with their own problems. You gotta understand that, fam. So you like a mirror to people. Like when people look at you, they look at like they see you for who you really is. They see the God within you. They fear you. That's why people can't stare. That's why people stare at you or give you weird energy or give you weird vibes when they come into your presence. You gotta understand that, fam. You gotta understand in the workplace, they hate that you a one-man army because you gotta understand when you walking with God, you don't need 10 and 20 different people to walk with you and vouch for you, and you don't need yes men. You gotta understand that, fam. You gotta understand they hate that you can do all that by yourself, and they need the group and team up with each other just to come against you. You gotta understand that, fam. You gotta understand, fam. Like you gotta understand they hated Yahushua. So what makes you think they're not gonna hate you? If you his chosen if you his chosen vessel, if you one of his special ones, if you one of his most precious one, you gotta understand that you from a royal priesthood, fam. So you not from here. You was sent here by God. You gotta understand that God will put you in the same environment. You gotta understand that people, when you come in contact with people, you got to understand, you got to look at them as spirits. You got to understand because we come from dust. So when we die, we perish back to dust. So you got to look at people as spirits because when your spirit leave your body, it goes somewhere. So you got to understand that, fam. So look at this. When God put you in people's life, like people can either be mirrors of who you used to be. I feel like mirrors of who you used to be and mirrors and people you are becoming to be. You gotta understand that. So you gotta look at them like spirits. So when you see somebody that's negative and not and like lashing out, you probably was once negative. You probably was once a narcissist, fam, and that stuff they need to go inside they self and heal. You gotta understand that. They see you did that inner work and they wonder why your light shines so bright. They wonder why you so calm and so like loving and so happy and smiley. They ask you that. Like in a generation like this, they always ask like, why are you so happy? Why are you so smiling? It's not me, fam. It's the God that's within me. It's that Holy Spirit filling me up. You got to understand that, fam. That's the only way possible to be happy in the times we living in, fam. You got to understand that. Just happy with life. Just happy about everything. You got to understand that. And God will put you in environments to uplift the environment. To put you in an environment so people can see your energy, see how you act, see who you worship. So they can know what steps to take. You got to understand that, fam. You got to understand, fam. These people in the job, they know who you is. They know who you is. They see you coming from miles and miles and miles away. You got to understand that, fam. That's why people can't keep their eyes off you. That's why people give you weird vibes. Sometimes you might be thinking people actually talking about you when they talking to each other, but sometimes they might be talking good about you, saying like, dang, I can't stand his. They probably saying like, dang, his light shining so bright. He must not know how bright his light shining. You got to understand that. You got to understand it. They probably saying like, dang, he don't know how much energy he's attracting. You don't know how much attracting he's look. You got to understand that. That's what people probably be saying about you while you be thinking they talking about you. Yeah, they can be talking about you, but they can be talking positive about you. You got to understand that, fam. You got to understand in the workplace, people will try so hard. They lie on you, do this and that. They'll try to play tricks with your mind to try to get you to mess up in the workplace, to try to get you to go back to your old ways. They'll try to get you to do bad things or like do the stuff that they doing. You got to understand that. You just got to stay focused. Let this mind be in Yahushua. You got to understand that, fam. You got to understand. They'll do anything in their power to get you fired. Because you got to understand, they know you're not like one of them. They can see you. They know you're not going to act like them. They know you're not going to do the things you do. You got to understand that. You're not one of them. You got to understand that. You got a higher frequency, fam. So they want to bring you back down to this lower frequency. So you can go back to doing the things you used to do. So you can be spiritually dead. So I don't want to, let me take that back. So you can be spiritually drained. That's what I'm going to use that word, spiritually drained. They want you to be spiritually drained. You got to understand that, fam. You got to understand, fam. And look, when I say they try to do anything in their power to get you fired, There, somebody will tell you to do this and that. It'll be a lot of people telling you to do this and that, but another person will tell you to do that and telling you it's wrong and stuff. I just had that same incident with me, because you got to understand that I was just working at McDonald's because I got a new job. So I'm gonna tell you about this. I'm gonna tell you about a little story that just happened recently, like a day ago. So I was in there, fam. You gotta understand, I was only working at McDonald's for 4 days. So they trained me at the front cashier, and they trained me at the window, and I learned that in 3 days. You gotta understand it. And the GM was watching me, so they seen what I was doing. They brought the supervisor in to meet me, and I told them. She asked me how I was doing. I told her I was blessed and highly favored. And you gotta understand that. And it's like they give our weird energy vibes. We had like a little 1-minute conversation. It was the supervisor and it was the general manager. And after we got done talking, she didn't like say have a blessed day or nothing. She just started talking to them. You gotta understand that when I say they give you weird vibes, like you would feel like you're alone in the room when you're around a lot of people. You would feel like you lonely. You're the only one you're talking to. But you gotta understand that they won't even say like have a blessed day or like we're done talking. They just start talking to the next person and make you feel like they're ignoring you or like, yeah, like basically ignoring you and stuff. And they're trying to make you like get drained. You gotta understand that. Try to see who you is. You gotta understand it. But at the same time, I learned cashier and I learned the window in 3 days. You gotta understand that it was easy and quick. Cause when I was at the cashier, they just kept looking at me and staring at me and thinking like, I'm supposed to just come in here and know everything on my first day, but I got it in 3 days. When I start learning, I start catching on quick. You gotta understand that, bro. I'm a quick and a fast learner. Chosen ones, you gotta understand that, and they hate that. They hate where we get our intelligence and how smart we are. Like, we quick to catch on to things. You got to understand that, fam. So I was getting it. And that 4th day, I just got fired yesterday. So they taught me on how to do the kitchen. It took me about an hour or two to get it down. It was a little roughy at first, but once I got it down, I started being like that. I started doing the burgers, running back to the fires, and doing all this and that. I started running back and forth. You got to understand, I was quick at it, fam. You got to understand that. And the general manager, I'm gonna tell you about this. The general manager wasn't in there at that time when I got trained. So like, I'm gonna put it like this: we was moving quick. We was like, cause you gotta understand, fam. We got this board in McDonald's, and they got all the McDonald's stores in. They always try to say, "Oh, let's try to get first place." Why is it a competition of the same companies trying to see who can get first place? All this is basically a competition. Like, you gotta understand that, fam. They want to be in competition with you. You gotta understand that these people in the workplace, they want to compete with you. You gotta understand that they want to feel like they want to see they want to be the fastest worker. They want to be the best worker, the worker who got the cleanest area. You gotta understand that they're trying to compete with you so much. You gotta understand that, fam. So like, I got it down quick. Mind you, I worked 8 hours, so I got taught. And then I was about to get off. It was 3. I was about to get off at 4, so it was 3. The general manager came in. She came in. I didn't know she came in, but she was watching me. It's like, bro, when I got trained, everybody was just, it was like all eyes on me, seeing if I was gonna get it, seeing if I was gonna quit. No, I wasn't gonna quit, bro. And I planned on coming back that next day, but it all happened like this. So the general manager. So mind you, I remember I got taught on cashier and window. I got that down quick, and she was there when I got those down quick. She saw what I was doing. You gotta understand that. So when I got taught on cook, and she saw I was getting that down, the general manager, you gotta understand that. She tried to say, "Oh no, that's not right. Don't do that. Pick it up from left and right." I've been picking it up because they've been telling me to pick it up from bottom to top, and she kept saying, "Oh no, pick it up from left and right. Do this and that. Oh, that's not right. Only do 4 salts." And she was like, "Only do one squirt of salt and don't do 4." I was like, bruh, like, I was doing so fine before she came in. Then when she kept coming in and started talking to me and started getting into my head and kept telling me, do this and that, like, bro, that's when I started messing up. I started seeing my own self messing up. So you got to understand, I experienced before she came in, like, me actually working on my own and doing it right. And then when she came in and kept telling me what to do, and then I started seeing myself mess up, and we started getting slower. So I was like, bro, I'm not having this. So it was another dude that came in. He went in kitchen, and he know what he was doing. He been there before me. He was been there like 3 months before me. You gotta understand that. And mind you, it was 30 minutes before I was about to get off. So I was like, so we had no car. So I was like, I asked somebody, I was like, is the lobby finished? He was like, yeah, but then he said, no, you can go in there and clean up the tables and wipe the chairs down. So I was gonna do that before I was about to have to leave and clock out. So I was like, bro, you can, cause you gotta understand, bro, I was the only one in the kitchen by myself. Cause this dude, he came in for like at least like an hour or something, and then I was in the kitchen by myself, doing it all by myself, doing the burgers. Because you gotta understand, it's like 2 grills. It was burgers, and then like the 1 and 4th meat burger, and then I gotta drop the McChickens. I gotta drop the nuggets, all this and that. And they kept telling me to do this and that, drop that, and I was doing all that by myself. You gotta understand that, fam. So when I said I was about to go wash the tables and do all that before I had to leave, because I told bro to go on the grill, bro, because I'm not about to hear her. Like, I didn't tell her that I was like, I'm about to go, but I did say I'm about to go wipe the tables down and do this and that, bro. You can be right here, bro, because she getting into my head, bro, and I don't want to have to argue with her and do this and that, and it all happened like that. She was like, where you about to go? And I was like, I'm about to go wipe down the tables down because you yelling at me. And I was like, you yelling at me and you getting into my head. And I was like, I'm gonna put him on and I'm gonna let him go on the grill because he know what he's doing. He been longer than me. And I was like, I'm gonna do this tomorrow because I'm gonna get it right. And then she was like, nah, you're not about to go wipe no tables down, this and that, da 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 da. She kept arguing with me, this and that. And I was like, yes, I am, because I don't wanna feel like you yelling at me and over top of me and telling me what to do. Yeah. And then she was like, no, you gonna go right there. And as she kept saying all that, she was yelling at me, throwing all this fear and like anger at me. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then she was like, oh, you can leave. And then I was like, I'm fired. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, I got a mama too, bro. Because you got to understand, before that happened, it was a girl. She tried to run into me, bro. Like, I can sense the energy in there. You got to understand, chosen ones, you can sense the energy from miles away. You can feel like when people being angry at you, when people fussing at you, when people got spirits on them that they carry that need to be cast out, or like they letting stuff use them. You got to understand that. And she tried to say that she was blessed. And I was like, how can you say you blessed and love God, but you out here being angry towards me? You out here trying to hover on me and tell me what to do and yell at me and progress fear and stuff on me and doubt and stuff on me. How can you say you love God and do that? So she was like, I'm fired. She was like, don't come back. And I asked her, I was like, I'm fired. She was like, she waited to say it and then was like, yeah. So I was like, bruh, they been wanting me gone since the first day, really, bro. Everybody in there running into me, stepping on my shoes, bumping into me. I'm like, bro, what is going on, bro? And it was like, bro, I'm not belong here, bro. This is not for me, bro. And I knew it, but the first day I came in, I wanted to quit. I told my mother, but she was like, no, stay there. So I wanted to stay there, and I asked God, I was like, God, if this workplace is not for me, if this is not for me, then let it so happen to where I get fired. Let so it happen to where something happens to where I don't, God forbid, work there anymore. And it just happened like that. So I clocked out, and I was like, and I told everybody before I left, like, you gotta understand, when I get fired or like when I leave someplace, I'm not about to be angry or this and that. You gotta understand, I'm gonna be angry in the moment, like, but I'm gonna say, like, have a blessed day, or like, y'all stay blessed. I told them, I was like, y'all be blessed, y'all stay blessed. And they was like, I'm always blessed. Like, trying to act like you can't say you love God but doing all this and that. You gotta understand that we're not perfect, but you gotta understand we striving to be like him. And I can tell when somebody really worshiping God. You gotta understand it. But yeah, fam, you gotta understand, chosen ones, the workplace is not for you, bro. You gotta understand that, fam. If they hated Yahusha, what makes you think they gonna hate you? You gotta understand that the workplace is part of the system. It's part of the matrix, bro. You gotta understand that it's designed for people to fail, and people that don't wake up to the illusion, and people that don't wake up or wake up to what's going on. You gotta understand that they gonna want to be stuck at this low end job. They gonna want to work for somebody the rest of your life. And you gotta understand that they yelling at me, the GM, and you working for somebody else just like I'm working for somebody else. You gotta understand that. They think because they got a title on their name, they on top of you. You gotta understand that they're not, but just because they got GM or manager, they on top of you. No, they're the same person as us. And it's crazy, bro. You gotta ask. You a grown person, you a adult, and you gotta ask another adult to get a day off. You gotta understand that. It's crazy to think like that, but you gotta understand that the workplace is designed to make you feel. It's designed to go against you. You gotta understand that, bro. That's why when you set apart, it's like you feel unmotivated and you feel like you don't want to work, bro. But yeah, fam, this video just about for the chosen ones in the workplace, like what you go through and stuff. Like it's wicked out here, but it's hard, bro. But if that's how you gotta make your money to make a living, bro, it's hard, bro. Like I done been through so many. I never been fired from a job, and then recently when I woke up, I just got fired from 2 jobs. That's crazy, bro. Like, but yeah, fam. Just keep your head on the swivel. Just keep your mind focused on the prize. Don't let nothing stop you, fam. Because you got to understand that when you destined for greatness, when you call for a higher purpose, the devil already know. He be 10 steps ahead. So he want to do anything to antagonize your spirit or try to drop you from that high frequency or try to take everything that God gave. So you got to understand that, fam. But yeah, just stay up and bless. We true to this. We not new to this. A1.